Hello, everyone, and welcome to Poetry Street. This is our first Poetry Street Zoom reading as we commemorate Juneteenth and in support of Black Lives Matter. This is an exceptional time to be alive, to bear witness, and to be a part of a worldwide movement for equality and justice. Black Lives Matter voices are now being heard and understood around the world. Protests and conversations are moving towards actual change. Determination, understanding, and empathy have begun to change policy and chip away at the walls of systemic and institutionalized racism to halt the murders of Black people and people of color by police, and to pledge dignity and respect to Black people in America and all over the world. It's beautiful to see the awakening of multicultural sisters and brothers, showing that they are with us as never before. I am more hopeful now than ever. Welcome to Poetry Street, a room without a roof where every voice is heard. Please allow me to introduce one of our founders of Poetry Street, Susan Dingle.
This is awesome. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Chip, for bringing Poetry Street to this new platform.
And our first theme was Juneteenth. And when we said that Poetry Street was the room without a roof, we had no idea it would look like this.
No idea at all.
Oh my God! And over the next 5 years, we were joined by an amazing community of poets from all over Long Island, many of whom are on the screen now. It's just awesome. And Chip and Maggie Bloomfield and Gladys Henderson and James Smith and so many other people joined us as hosts and as supporters. And in 2017, we decided to expand Poetry Street, and we got this new thing called Poetry Street on the Road. And it was 18 poets that had featured on Poetry Street were in a YouTube video series that Chip actually put together.
And Chip, you did such an awesome job of videoing that. It's still on YouTube, Poetry Street on the Road Season 1 with 9 episodes. And then you also selected your favorite pieces for Poetry Street on the Road, the film. So I encourage everybody to check it out. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my partner and co-founder of Poetry Street, Bobby Brown.
Hi, everybody. It's really a strange introduction to this 21st century. And I'm looking at all these people from all over the world, and I just want to say that I'm honored to be on this thing. I don't even know what to call it. But since I think that in especially the last few years, I have grown so much closer to the God that I serve, and I would really like to open this event with a short prayer, if you don't mind. Eternal and everlasting Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this day. We want to thank you for this array of participants who have strong minds, strong wills, and want to change the face of this nation. They want to change the face of this world, to have all the people that you have created accepted in every venue. This I ask in the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. All right?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. And now, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Susan and Bobby. In Native American tradition, a land welcoming is offered to acknowledge the traditional owner of the land, the first people of this land, America. The offer, the land welcoming, I invited Jerome McKelvin. Jerome McKelvin is a descendant of the people of the Yamacraw, the Choctaw, the Geechee, the Chiraw, and Tslagi.
Thank you, Chip.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to take a few moments, as Chip said, to give an acknowledgement to where we are and what we're embarking on. With all reverence and gratitude to Creator for the blessings bestowed upon us in the secret grounds that we call our home, we thank Him for our ancestors and the burial mounds across each state and in the archipelago of the Caribbean islands and beyond.
For they left the instructions handed down by signs in nature and the heavens. We give special gratitude to our extended Lenape family for the ability to situate and live in their ancestral homelands. There were many tribal nations living together in the Americas for countless thousands of years prior to European encroachment, which underlined the wars, forced enslavement, and migrations in the 17th century, and led the Dutch West India Company to acquire a stronghold of land from the Lenape Nation. They renamed it New Amsterdam, and subsequently New York, after the Anglo-Dutch Wars. Although there have been countless tribal nations lost to history because of aforementioned reasons, there are still many descendants of the ancestors who lived on to nurture and protect our homelands, oral histories, and way of life. As a new day is upon us, it is vitally imperative that we acknowledge our history in order that we preserve the lessons of our past to make a way for the restoration of peace and balance for a more prosperous future that we can all benefit from and enjoy together in our pursuit of happiness.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, before we start, let's go over a few things. If you want to read your prose or poetry, please type your name and your location in the chat. The chat is located at the bottom of the screen. If you have a book or audio, please include that information in the chat and we'll display it during your reading. Okay, when it's time for you, I will send you a message asking you to unmute your microphone. I'll introduce you, which will be your cue to begin. After your performance, please mute your microphone. Okay. Finally, I want to point out the screen view options located at the top right of your screen. The full view option will highlight the speaker. The grid view option will show the other participants on this call. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask Melissa Longo, who is from North Babylon, and also she's one of our featured poets on Poetry Street on the Road, which is a YouTube channel. Poetry Street on the Road, and also she's featured in Poetry Street on the Road, the film. So Melissa Longo.
Thank you, Chip. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you, and it's great to be here, albeit virtually. I have one poem to share with you. I was inspired by the recent riots, and this was a few weeks ago that I did this poem. Why do you not see that black is beautiful too? Not only do my friends need reparations, but they must live. Not only to cry, but to survive. Let them have more. Let them be more. I want us to live, not in fear, not expecting to fight off attackers and rapists, but to use this time to be with our brothers and sisters, as the rains bear down on us as we speak. May this water bring evolution, nutrients to this earth, not fire which can bring flames to all living things, destroys, disintegrates. Why should friends bleed, keep on bleeding for a colon, a continued genocide? There's more to this world than white and beige and blood red.
Wow. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you, Chip.
Now, if you are squeamish, you may want to just turn the headphones off because this young man is going to blow it out the water. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome James Smith.
What is there really left to say? George Floyd, Ahmaud, and Breonna Tay. Me Philandro, Tamir, and Freddie Gray. The dispatcher told Zimmerman to walk away. Controlling hate halfway, we just trying to be equal. But can't breathe when your knees on the neck of my people. The methods are lethal. LA writes, this is the sequel. We've seen this movie played out like we watched it at Regal. The chokehold's illegal, but they making laws for that. Think that'll wipe the slate clean like a laundromat? Took thousands to die before they acknowledged that. But that shit won't bring Eric Garner back. That shit won't bring black fathers back. And queens on the scenes cause be balling that. 50 shots from the cops, now I'm belling the heavens. They didn't care the next day that man had a wedding. A month before the year 2007, a non-black man gunned down by the weapon because he fit the profile, so they say he was threatening. Took his very last breath and he was murdered in seconds. And this is when my blood pressure rises. Either God gonna guide us or we bringing the violence. Either they survive or we the survivors. They want to crucify us all because we the messiahs. We the alliance. The news said that we with the riots. Cops want us all quiet, protesting in silence. Look down from the pilots. Helicopters are flying while mothers are crying. The government spying. Still got nightmares waking up to the sirens. You really are wild, and if you think that I'm lying, don't listen to the info that the schools are providing. I shine like a diamond, getting closer to Zion. I'm keeping it private, just watching the climate. Slavery was genocide, but we really survived it. Africans on boats, the Europeans were pirates. Starved them all on the boat like they was all on a diet. And by the way, I never heard of Antifa. All I hear is Black Lives Matter through the speaker. Trump got the military into the feed us, tear gas the crowd as we running in our sneakers. Look how far he goes to try to beat us. Photo apps at church, I guess he doing it for Jesus. America selected him to try to lead us, but he got the impression like he don't really need us. Well, guess what? We don't need you too. Let's bring democracy back. I think that book overdue. I hope the next chapter has less blacks in prison with less black victims and no racism.
Wow. I don't know what to say about you. Just don't know what to say about you. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask Alexa to please bless us with some of her wonderful poetry.
Thank you, thank you. I've been blessed so far, very much so. Thank you guys for doing this. I'd like to share a poem that I wrote over a year ago, but I believe it's still appropriate for what's happening today. And I pray it blesses you. It's called A Love That Breaks Down Walls. There are invisible walls that separate by gender, culture, social class, and race. They've been created in our minds to bind us to falsities that we are more different than alike, when in fact we are from one tribe, that is humankind. Once, nothing was impossible for a people with common speech who built a tower to reach God in the heavenlies and almost did so through the sheer power of unity. It is fear alone, brothers and sisters, that keep us from recognizing our similarities. It is prejudice that hinders our understanding that we are one beautiful creation, meant to be in relationship with one another and with God. If we continue divided and in darkness, this ship will crash and sink, leaving future generations nothing to carry them onto solid ground. We must be bound to seek truth and see the walls clearly before us so that we can gather the tools we will need to break them down. They are walls of judgment that cause us to look past blank-filled eyes at our brother's speck and point accusing fingers outward rather than introspect. They are walls of bigotry that breed injustice and keep us from exposing hidden thoughts and hurts that could bring healing to this generation once brought into the light. They are walls of insecurity that prevent us from disturbing the status quo rather than reaching out to build bridges and grow. These barriers of bias, intolerance, and hate are not intrinsically in our DNA. They're not sewn into chromosomal strands making us so distinct. No, these walls were built brick by brick and propagated by an enemy who desires to seek our demise. So let us be wise to recognize his lies. Our genetic code makes a resounding cry for harmony, community. Indeed, our souls desire to connect as family. There is one body, one spirit, and we are called to one hope. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, and he alone can break down these walls. So, Lord, let your love break us down. Crack the foundation of our hearts. Drive out fear with perfect love. Let this generation have a brand new start to build the bridges of love between all peoples, despite gender, culture, social class, and race, and bring us to a place of unity so that our differences we can embrace. So though we built them through ignorance, let them fall down once and for all, and do so through your mighty love, my God, the love that breaks down walls.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I'm trying to get Gladys Henderson to unmute, and she is. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gladys Henderson.
Hi, everyone. Such a great day to be here. And to see your faces all together, the new faces that I've never seen before, and the faces that I've known and loved before. I'm reading two poems, if I might, Chip.
Absolutely.
One from Carmen Bugan, who gave it to me to read for her. She could not come here because it's her birthday, and there's a celebration that they're having at home. But she said she wanted me to make sure I read this poem, and I shall. And it's interesting that the two poems that I'm writing, one, I'm 19 years old, and it was a huge shock, and I certainly was not capable at that point in time to really handle all what was happening. It was many years later that I wrote the poem. And it's called Bus Stop, New York City to Dallas in 1961. And then Carmen's poem, Do Not Point Your Gun at a Child. Bus stop, New York City to Dallas, 1961. It was the only building in Selma with lights on, a hopper painting, fuel pump, street lights, stinging moths, a small clapboard diner, windows soiled with years of cigarettes, greasy fry oil. There was one waitress for this eatery. The locals called her by name. Mary Beth in her gray and white uniform, handkerchief folded in a flower above her left breast, and a pin of the Confederacy, its stars and bars holding it in place. Mary Beth had been a waitress for years. She knew how to take care of bus stop strangers, those who didn't follow signs. She worked the counter with ease, took orders from the tables, whispered with the locals who glanced up from their plates towards the older woman seated next to me. Mary Beth pitched the plate in front of the elderly woman, the last passenger to be served. It made a loud clank, rattled cymbal-like, until the diners went silent. Her sandwich fell to the floor. The bus driver announced it was time to leave. When we entered the diner, night was still with us, but by then morning sun had reached the cloudy windows. We saw the signs for the first time. Colored water fountain, colored food counter. We exited the clapboard diner in solemn-faced lines, as though waiting to view the remains of a friend who had passed away unexpectedly. The old woman, the last passenger to be served, wrapped her sandwich in a napkin, left her money on the counter, took her place in the line of passengers. We boarded the bus and left Selma. The day and evening ahead of us, the rattle of the engine, its groans, the hiss of the serpent brakes that followed us at every stop, and those signs, all the way to Dallas. So, 19 years old, 1961. So we still have a lot of work to do, and have come forward, but not enough. We're not there in any way. We are not there yet, but we're almost there. So I read this poem now, if I might. Can I, for Carmen?
Please.
Thank you. Carmen asked me to read this poem, and it was inspired by her seeing a picture of men in full riot gear with helmets and bulletproof jackets and the whole nine yards, and they were pointing a gun to a child that was on her father's shoulders. And this is the poem that she has written. Do not point your gun at a child. Once you were a child too, and your father must have carried you on his shoulder from where you could look the grown-ups in the eyes. Do not point a gun at a child who holds in her hand a bag of crisps, food her only weapon, her father's shoulders the only vantage point from this world that burns and flames before her. people have come to ask for dignity. This girl must learn it is safe to ask for a better life. Do not point your gun at her. Once you were a child too, and your father must have carried you on his shoulders from where you could see the world you live in. Do not point your gun at this girl. Do not point your gun at her father. Take off your helmet and look in their eyes. There is love of life in them. You can only see if you do not point your gun at this girl, who is learning at a tender age that no man should kneel on the neck of another man, that no one has the right to take another's life. Carmen Bugan.
Nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. Mindy is our next poet.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This is a real pleasure, by the way. I want to thank you, Gladys and Susan, for telling me about this. And it's an honor to be here, especially for this occasion. This is something I wrote being moved by, initially, by Emmett Till. And we know about Emmett Till in history, the teenager who was brutally murdered in 1955 for allegedly whistling at a white woman in Mississippi. And I start there, but I think about other injustices. And here we are, working, hopefully, towards justice. Daylight. Mamie Till's pain didn't crush her pride when she held her son's battered skull and said, "I see daylight on the other side." Rosa stood her ground. They tried to force her from her seat on the bus, but on that long, dark ride to justice, she saw daylight on the other side. Little did Malcolm know that X would mark the day he died, confident the pain of betrayal would subside, and that daylight was on the other side. When a bullet took down a king with a dream to live side by side, my city erupted in tears, but it cried, "I see daylight on the other side." For all the strange fruit tied to trees, the dreams deferred and petrified, our house on a hill lives in memory of the lives in Chicago's South Side. We see daylight on the other side. We see daylight on the other side. We see daylight on the other side. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. This next lady, she's in the Multicultural Solidarity Group as well as Reading Reparations. My friend Permilia.
Thank you very much, Chip and Susan, for inviting me to read. I'll read one poem. I was thinking about all the mothers who lose their sons and daughters to violence. This poem is called Ghazal for Mothers who have lost their children to police brutality.
Ghazal for mothers who have lost their children to police brutality. The epigraph is by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. As a mother, I hear your cry. Mother Earth opens her arms to embrace you as you fall. Slow motion, the air parting, unable to stop the fatal fall. Mothers endure their children's agony as bullets rip skin and sinew, but their cries of "stop" cannot break their children's fall. When the law tested Sita, setting her ablaze to test if she was true, Earth Mother said, "Enough," and took her home. Now tell me who fell. I join your cry, mothers, as you stand bereft, justice long overdue. We labored hard to birth our babies from dawn to nightfall. We cared for every inch of our children, skin, bone, tissue, their moral fiber we embroidered with care so they'd not fall. And you dare again and again to snatch our tender few, adding to your score. You think nothing can befall the giant law, armed and fattened with immunity's glue. Your mothers, too, are sorry to see you stoop so low and fall. Don't underestimate us. We are shaking off our blues and dismantling our land of laws that make our children fall.
That was awesome. Now, before I introduce the next poet, for those of you who are just joining us, and if you would like to read a piece of prose or poetry, please type your name in the chat, which is located at the bottom of the screen, your name and your location. If you have a book or audio to that you want to tell people about, please also put that in the chat as well. And you send that chat to the host only, please. Our next performer is Rika.
I'm on. Oh.
Yes,
Hi,
you're
Chip.
on. Hi.
Oh my goodness. Hi,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Susan, for inviting me on. Thank you, Chip, for including me. I'm in Houston, Texas. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I am going to just pull up my poem that I have ready here. Okay. I just wanted to mention that I have an old poem to share here. That's when, I was located in New York City. That's my home. But right now I live in Texas. And I wrote this poem back in the day, and I think it's still relevant. I was in New York City, and this murder happened of James Byrd in Jasper, Texas, and that really caught me, and I wrote about that back in 1998, and now we're remembering 22 years since James Byrd was dragged to his death by a bunch of white men. So I wrote this poem. It's called The Punished, and I'm talking about the white people who killed him. That's the focus of the poem. It's called The Punished. People insist things have changed. Some worry those driving on highways will know their town. They will say, "Oh, Jasper, that is where." A man returning from a party, a black man by the roadside, small town Texas, where a lone black man is tied and dragged behind a pickup. The killers, white in plural, their ecstasy of howls cheapened this countryside. Tense, he was one, they were many. Tense numerology. Far away in New York City, cones of talk show hosts. I'll defend the bastards just to put them on the chair, fill airways like smog. Two white DJs express sympathy on white music stations. An archaeologist of hip-hop, one suggests, why not lock 'em up with some brothers? Why not just lock 'em up? He means the slur that he leaves out. Our psyches working out tragedies and traffic on the way home after long days. Appropriate punishments meted out between deadlines, dinner menus, dead bodies, so the killers would serve at least a year. Whose brothers are these men who wish to punish the perversity of this country's whiteness, its punishment, so the rest can say, it's not like that everywhere. Jasper is not like this. This is random. This never happened before. The other, whose daughter, his sister, stand facing the earth, their arms folded, symbols of the familiar, ravaged, always shocked, grieving at unexpected, inhumane turns. Please don't remember Jasper for this. Why are we the ones punished? A white townie, a mother of some kids, adds, even animals don't deserve to die like this. We here in Jasper like blacks. Even they. A vindication in words of sorts, the whiteness marked in blood, colors, flags, and fondness of gravel roads separating the same town from itself. It's black from its white. It's powerless from the hungry. It's bereaved from the slice of blue buried 6 feet under. Protracted ceremonies of condolence. The president's call to Jasper in these times, we will not tolerate this. What? Whose brother is he?
Wow.
Mommy?
Powerful. Our next poet is featured on Poetry Street on the Road, which is the YouTube channel that we produced in 2017 at the Eastern Arts Carriage House. And Maria Anderson, she is just amazing, and you'll see why.
Hi, I miss you all so much. Yeah, me too. I have one for you today. It's called Do You See Them? It's about my son and my little brother. Most people have no idea what it's like to live in fear. Not for yourself, but for your kids because they have it too. To let them leave knowing them returning isn't a guarantee. It's always been a fear of mine, but recently more so. Hold on. Let me explain why. When you look at him, do you see him? Do you only see tan skin? Can you see the hyper toddler? Or do you see a slave and an immigrant? When you see him in sweatpants, do you see a young criminal? Or do you see a child that likes comfort? Can you see the child eager to learn underneath his darker color? My son is a beautiful mix of colors from 13 different cultures, traditions, and different walks of all kinds of life. Do you look at him and see something other than a toddler that's hyper, loving, and has the ability to ask a million questions? My brother is a smart-mouthed, kind-hearted child. He's messy and can be lazy, but he can also be so loving it surprises you. He's passionate and he's silly, and totally enamored with his one and only nephew. But you can't see any of that, can you? Do you see the two children that will grow up to be men, or do you see them growing up to be thugs and gangbangers? Because God forbid, they're actually intelligent and kind. Can you see the human children as you should, where color or race plays no part in identifying them? Or do you see a target, an enemy, someone to be hated? Child or not, can you see without blood red glasses on? The youngest child to be killed by police was 7. My son's 4. A lot of them were between the ages of 10 and 17. My little brother is 14. I'm not asking for much. I just want people to see my boys as exactly what they are. Innocent boys, children to be loved and cared for and nurtured to be loving men.
Wow.
That's all.
Wow. There's nothing like a mother's love, and there's nothing like a mother's sorrow. Next poet is another feature on Poetry Street on the Road, the film as well as the series. Nina Yavell.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm Nina Yavell. I want to thank you, Chip. I know it's the struggle. I tried to do one of these myself. It was not easy. You know, with what's going on in the world today, it's really hard to find words. I mean, the words seem, you know, not up to what's going on in our heads and ears and the miseries that we're facing and the horribleness of who's leading us and all of the things that it's hard to express in words, you know. All I have is a prayer, and I'll just say it. My body sings, and from each branch the wind receives its bread and mouths the wine. We are praying, you and I, hallowed incantations, the spirits resting beneath our breath, souls sharing the sanctity of flesh.
Wow. That was very nice. Very, very nice. Well, now, I just want to remind people, if you want to read, please send your name and where you're from in the chat to me. And that way I can put you on the list, because I see a lot of poets here and they haven't signed in. So I am going to go to me. Let me get the right thing going. Okay, let's see. Looking back and knowing where we've come from, at all the obstacles that have been placed in our way, the torture, the hangings, even the many mysterious killings of some, makes me wonder how I'm even alive, sane and here today. I would not be quiet, nor would I ever forget the sacrifices my ancestors made. It wasn't that long ago when they were captured, chained, shackled together, then shipped across the ocean in a stockade. Even if they tried to silence me by cutting off my tongue and ears, my eyes will always tell the stories of the oppressor's fears, our fears and our stories. Oh, my beautiful brothers and sisters, we are the proud descendants of those who were treated worse than barren dirt, whose fathers and mothers were beaten, bought, sold, rented, and traded. There are no words that could ever begin to describe the magnitude of our hurt. Everything about us, they told us, was hated. Slave owners didn't care about separating an African man from his family. They were only concerned with their own satisfaction, status, and wealth. To them, we were all just a commodity. They didn't give a damn how we felt. Slavery. A human being owned by another in these United States, land of the free America. America, I will not be quiet, hold my peace, or get over it. I take slavery, our nation's horrid past, present, and future very personally. And as long as I have breath, I will continue to tell our stories. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I am going to ask my friend, this wonderful woman who just wrote a book that I bought, and I'm going to get her to announce her book. Her name is Maggie Bloomfield. She also won an Emmy for her work on Sesame Street. Maggie Bloomfield.
Thank you. You can hear me, right? Yes. Thank you so much. Why are you frowning? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just saw your text. Sorry.
Oh. Okay. Yes, I'm so happy to be here. And I thank you, Chip. I thank you, Susan and Bobby. And it's so good to see everybody. I do have a book. It's called Sleepless Nights. I did put it on the chat to Chip. It was published by Finishing Line Press. And you're all more than welcome to purchase it. But what I want to read today, when I looked before I came on, I saw this is a celebration. I do celebrate Juneteenth in my heart and spirit. I do have hope. I'm not sure that this poem communicates that, but it's called Miss Alabaster's Fragility. When I am in despair, when grief and loss overwhelm my languid Protestantism, a loved one has passed or is hurting, my marriage is tenuous as a cobweb, my daughter is far off, my friends have snow flown forever to Florida or dementia, my spring plantings are bruised brown, my boarding passes are COVID shreds. The prick to my privilege seems nearly conspiratorial. My rainbow days haze over with tears. I think of you, Larcinia, and mothers of black babies, black toddlers, teens, black students, judges, activists, black attorneys, laborers, artists, black educators, black doctors, black prisoners, black addicts, black sons, daughters, siblings, friends, lovers, the community of other in what was my pale world. I think of you, Larcinia, and all black mothers who, waking each morning, never question, having internalized the black and white truth that a white knee could squeeze black breath from your black baby, that a white finger could trigger a bloody pudding of black brain on any given Thursday, that your beautiful black baby's final sob would be for his mama, and his last thought, why?
Wow.
Thank you.
That's just so amazing. Thank you so much, Maggie.
Thank you.
I'm trying to go to Philadelphia, or does Lois Moses live in D.C.? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, I'm going to bring her on and she can tell you all about herself. Ladies and gentlemen, Lois Moses.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, now I'm in Philly.
Okay, good.
So I was just thinking about during this time how tired this has made me spiritually and emotionally. And so I'm going to read a piece called "I Don't Want to Die Tired Like I'm Living."
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to die tired like I'm living, from womb to tomb. I don't want to die tired like I'm living. Ain't no back hurt tired, no feet sore, ain't had enough sleep tired. But tired in my mind's eye, swollen in my spirit tired, injured. I don't want to die tired like I'm living on the backs of ancestors and in the midst of other people's paradigms, not willing to pray to God-given ancestors and a God concept that looks like you. Now there's an idea. I don't want to die tired like I'm living. Stop breathing long ago. Stop screaming. No resources, rhyme, or reason to rejoice. Tired. Tired enough to sleep habitually tired. Tired of being in the valley without value. Tired. I don't want to die tired like I'm living from womb to tomb. No ways tired, but which bother and bewildered tired. Hog tired, tired. Chain gang with no gang tired. Tired like the blues. Waiting to be sung. Now I'm tired. I don't want to die tired like I'm living a fugitive of dreams. Resorting to the bed of too toxic truth tired. Drinking white milk, knowing that I'm lactate intolerant tired. Eating, ripping, sleeping, thinking that I'm ripping everything that ain't mine tired. Bleeding, forgetting everything in me, of me, and be me. Now that's making me tired. I want to wake up today African. Not having to watch what I say. Resurrected, reconstructed, revisited, and ancestor bloom wake. Because we are in a state of emergency, as my sweet honey sisters say. And I ain't talking about the millennium or the YK day. I want to wake up today African, not having to defend my pigment or my rights. Just be. Understanding that declarations were not for my independence. Constitutions cannot give God-given rights. They can only disguise through lies as we sit idly by, dizzy by Uncle Trump's legalities aimed to mesmerize. I don't want to die tired like I'm living because I'm working on the slow down. Entangled and strangled in the nightmare of Willie Lynch's precision, of bigotry, conservatism, exclusion, dissolution, and civil rights amendments. Tired. 100 years too little and way too late. But the thought of freedom, freedom, let me say it one more time, freedom, now that keeps me woke. And to that end, no beginning. I ain't no ways tired.
Well, all right. All right. I ain't tired. Okay, next we have one of our Poetry Street veterans, Bill Blatcher. I'm sorry.
Hello. I'm here in Greenport. Tell you a couple projects that I've been working on. I've got me and Tammy Nelson Morgan are putting together an anthology of poems in recognition of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, which will be next year. So we've been working on that project. And the For Better for Verse project that we started in January is still going. It's every 2 months we have poets come here to Conic Landing. I have a poem, but it doesn't fit in with all the other poems that we've heard today.
It's all good.
It does fit in with Father's Day. It's a sonnet that's called Warning from Father Tick. Ticks have fathers too, you know. Select a deer, my son, as grass she'll graze, a doe with fur as brown as autumn leaves. She's comfy warm, nutritious blood she gives. You'll live well, sated all your livelong days. Or, if adventure's what you seek, then bite a dog if you can catch one racing by. He'll scratch and paw at you and vainly try to get you off, so hang on very tight. Then ride him as he wanders and gives chase, and jumps for frisbees humans throw for him. Though tempting, avoid the human race. No sooner will you taste their sweetened veins, but they will torture you with alcohol or flames, and tweezer you, and tear you limb from limb.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow, that was good. Very good. Now I'm going to go pretty close to home, and I'm going to ask John if he is ready so that he can read. Excellent. John James, everyone.
Am I unmuted?
You're good.
Okay, great. So I'm reading Chip Williford's poetry. The first one is entitled The Beast. The Beast. My eyes open. The day falls dark, and I'm at war with the beast I defeated yesterday. No one can see the wound tightly wrapped in the blood-stained linen underneath my breastplate. No one seems to care, having their own battles to fight and their own wounds to mend. And from the muddy depths, I lift up my sword to the heavens, swinging with the mighty strength of the god, cutting the belly of the beast, merely wounding him before he retreats. Another round is imminent. Tomorrow is only hours away. I will rejoice and rest till then. And this is Chip's poem entitled Thoughts of a Mongoose. Beware of the poison that's found in the whispering meadows of flowering lies. Restricted by hovering hills, closely watched by luminous skies. The spreading of daffodils and seeds of dandelion, naively playing wild games of nature tamed only by design. Mused by the sun's bright rays, a reflection unkind. Clouds waltz their way, shadowing the trap of the mischievous thoughts of the mongoose prey. As persnickety as the wind blows the perfume of danger and escape, the harvest sprays, while baby monkeys cling tightly to their mother's lap. Raging river rapids continue to flow down toward the valley where the mouths continue to flap.
Wow. Thank you, John. It's such an honor to have someone else read your poem. You know, that's pretty cool. This next poet is someone I really admire. He's head of a lot of groups, and he's in a lot of groups for social change and justice. He's part of the Multicultural Solidarity group as well as Reading Reparations. He works at the Suffolk County Community College. He's just a wonderful guy. His name is James Banks.
Thank you, Chip. How are you?
Good.
I raced here because I wanted to hear all the wonderful poets like Susan and Bubby, and I didn't think I'd get here in time because I was coming from a protest out there in Riverhead.
We save them for later, so you're in time.
Okay. Wake up. I'm still here. I am a blemish expressed by the lack of care for the tenements in the inner city. I am the litter on the streets, a blatant disregard for environmental conservation, strongly represented in the grades of students, elementary, high school, or college bound. I am the cause and author of written violence as graffiti on train walls. I am concrete and asphalt, bloodied and stained with vital fluids of people. The stench is lethal. I'm found in the failure of sheetrock walls to contain sounds of harsh discourse, of facial contortion and unwanted wrinkles on expressions of people of color. I'm heard in music from all spirituals, blues, hip-hop, spoken word, and rap, impacting steps like pirouettes in ballet to the constant clicking when dancing tap. I am responsible for pedometers, counting gates, and high school dropout rates. Responsible for the value of property decreasing drastically, and people out walking late, looking at others nastily. Found in the sleep of infants disturbed by the background wail of sirens announcing crime or fire on the streets. Demonstrated on shelves of brick-dressed schools, barred windows, and outdated or no books. I'm responsible for brothers being followed in department stores and breakfast nooks. I am a continuous sunset on hope and aspiration for new horizons. I am the cause of compulsive drinking, manifested in obsessive drinking. I'm why there's avoidance of cleaning up, like a redundant shit stain on the rep of democracy. Responsible for the lack of rehabilitation and the guarantee of high rates of recidivism, a crash course in hypocrisy. A pronounced disdain resembling a fallen maple leaf descending to its demise under the nonchalant step of a Nike size 13. I am fighting dinosaur-like extinction, an endangered species failing to survive progress. I am like Jim Crow laws, legal and despised, become underground and institutionalized. I am the bling-bling stealing the sparkle from your society. There's no denying me. An internal lacking introspection and in-your-face-ism. My name is racism.
Wow, that was great. Before we bring out someone new, we want to invite those who just came in or anyone that wants to read. Please send me a chat message with your name and your location, and I could put you on the list. Okay, I want to go to Minneapolis. This wonderful lady, she has some literature out. Actually, she has a song. It's a reading. It's called Auctioneer. It's on Amazon, Spotify, Google Play. It's amazing. She's not going to read that one today, but I'll send you her link probably at the end because I'm working by myself today, so I apologize for that. But her name is Suzanne Cade. Suzanne Cade.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much to the host for the opportunity to present and for the organizers having this platform for poets to share. And thank you to the other poets who have shared their art. I will read today 3 points. The first is, your skin is the gun. And I wrote each of these 3 points. Your skin is the gun. Her fear is the trigger. Your black mind, blackness is his threat. His inferiority calls you nigger. Your skin is the gun. His fear is the bullet. Double consciousness ain't a pun. This gun is full of it. Your skin is the gun. Their hate is the trigger. Your black mind, body, self is full of generational brilliance, beauty, royalty, legacy. Their jealousy is cruel as the grave. Your skin is the gun. Their power is the trigger. When your strength is restrained, their dominance becomes bigger. Your body is the bullet. Your mind is the threat. Your melanin is the blood genetic gun threat. Your skin is the gun. Their calculations are the trigger. Who wrote the facts of those stats and whose narrative generated those figures? Underestimated, misrepresented, ignored, silenced, or misremembered. A silent shot, a deathly attempt, a legal right to be a gun, but not a human, somebody's daughter or son. They have a wrong right to remain speechless, silent, while the trigger is pulled. You have the right to remain vocal, so your story is not misunderstood, underrepresented, under dispute, underappreciated, under a microscope, under your skin, under a stack of paper, linen, money, under-resourced, under a pal, under a camera lens, under a masked smile, under the sun or underground, underperforming, under misjudgment, understood by the circumference, but not the substance of the circumstance. Your skin is the gun, your core is the aim. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother in like skin are seen just the same. Inhumane humanity has no shame. Humanity sees humans humane. Compassion for pets is viewed as humane, but a person is not treated with respect in that same vein. Your skin is the gun, but you have a redeemer. Jesus is God, and even he wept. Heart sees humanity. Your black mind, body, self is full of generational brilliance, beauty, royalty, legacy. The next point, the eye of this storm. The eye of this storm watches me. Of all the earth's soil, it chooses my ground and discovers oil. I look back in fear and unbelief until I realize I'll become my greatest enemy if I allow this storm to break me. I focus on this storm with determination and a new fear, not of a final destination nor of my imagination. Fear alone of only one heart to beat. A second chance may take eternity, so I seize the opportunity to embrace the storm's defeat and my victory face to face. I understand this battle's why. I stand firm beside swaying trees and look the storm in its eye, daring it to try to defeat me. I have won before I have begun and can sense my victory. Overconfident? I think not. A soldier may have to take a shot from his best enemy and worst friend to secure his victory at the end and help him to win, but it all must begin before it ends, and so he lies in a reservoir of confidence in himself, determined to be the last left, undefeated. There is no shelter in this desert land, a land not quenched by an oasis, but dry until a storm comes to firm the hand of the basis. In this storm's eye, I see a tear of fire and rain. I don't budge or question why, focusing on victory again and again. When I catch this storm's eye, it will glance no more, until the land meets the sky and 2 becomes 4. To multiply division was this storm's task, to blind the soldier's vision by putting on a mask. But confusion can't grow in the midst of unity. That's why the storm tasted defeat and I, victory. From whence it came is a part of what it was meant to be, whether delivered from the land, sky, or beneath the sea. A piece of it will remain in its glimpse throughout time. And while it is here, it cannot harm me if I listen with my eyes and heart's ear. The eye of this storm can't destroy me. Only space and time separate my sword and visible victory. The eye of this storm cares nothing about earth, soil. In its endeavor to destroy, it reveals golden oil. I haven't seen my opponent fully figured. Its eye is enough to see. It does not know that this battle's triggered my newfound victory.
All right. Suzanne Cade. That was awesome.
The last one is reality.
Okay.
To step and appear and to be without ear. To see and not hear until touched by fear. Then awaken I out of the days of peace to backward sounds of a captive liberty. An exposition of a demonstration and a disposition of exaltation. To forestall what was foreordained means to call upon thunder and rain. What arises from this well of thought is something unforgettable, mainly because of what was bought. Not to manifest utmost respect for one who has given his very best will bring a terminable regret. It is not that it was forgotten, for it is proclaimed all over the land, and in each hand where currency lies, it is not denied, but is a must to print the 4 words, in God we trust. Why? Seems like a snowflake on the sun, but it precedes fighting a battle that has already been won. Then why step forward? Why not go back to sleep? Because this is not a fairy tale, it is reality. The death of this life brings life again for those who are ready and not living in sin, a life we can't imagine completely, for not one of our thoughts can embrace what truly awaits behind heaven's gates. Is there hell on earth or heaven in the sky? For neither one can be denied. It is God in heaven whose spirit dwells within that will carry our souls away from this world of sin. So ready I am. I have heard what I've seen and felt what I've heard. This is reality. To run but not walk. To sing but not talk. To be free and not have victory. This is not a fairy tale. It is reality. Welcome.
Nice, nice, nice. My great-grandfather's father, Peter, was born enslaved. $538 is the amount he was appraised. Listed, Negro boy, on the inventory sheet of slave owner Allen T. Overby, who was recently deceased. Peter was then bequeathed as property to another slave owner, and I condemn and shame by not mentioning their name, to whom he was released. At the age of 7 years old, Peter was separated from his family, peeled from the loving arms of his weeping mother Jenny, snatched shirt soaking wet with the tears of his brothers, Frank, age 4, and 2-year-old Joe. Did Peter ever see his family again? It hurts to say years I've searched, but I still don't know. Slavery. Poison heirloom passed down from one generation to the next generation, beginning at birth. My ancestors and your ancestors living an entire life with very little or no hope at all in sight. So, no, there are no words that could adequately describe, and no words that can excuse our hurt, no matter what they say about it. About slavery, it just wasn't right. I am trying to reach Bubby since he was requested by James Banks. And so I'm going to ask him to unmute his mic. Ladies and gentlemen, the other co-founder of Poetry Street and my mentor, Bubby Brown.
Hi, Chip.
Hi, thank you.
Kudos. And I just have this one reading I like to read. It's just entitled George Floyd. A few weeks ago have gone by now since this act of violence, but this time it won't fade away because of public silence. It was caught live on camera, broadcast on the TV wire, seen and heard around the world, faster than a forest fire. This piece of our dirty laundry, foreign nations can't forgive, cause havoc in European and Asian lands where blacks don't even live. As for me in my golden twilight years, whose life has begged for more, each death, each burning, each atrocity, I've seen them all before. The names that orators at demonstrations call, In memorial, remembrance, they shout. When the headlines fade, they all soon forget what it was all about. Will George Floyd's death be heralded as the fuse for systemic change? Or will it be mirrored like many others, raised a moment of anger, but in the end, in vain? There's a growing fear inside of me. Each day grows ever stronger. When folks like me will finally say, I can't take this any longer. When peaceful protests have run their course and a wave of anger descends, when equal rights are traded for pent-up hatred and revenge. If the shoe gets on the other foot, when day blends into night, when minorities start killing folk just for being white.
Wow, that was awesome. If you want to read, please raise your hand so I can acknowledge you. Okay. James Banks, you come back on and read again, please.
The inevitable evolution and ascension of my people proves perseverance and strength of character can overcome some evil. From Adam and Eve at the foot of the Euphrates River to the birth of famed prophets and spiritual doctrine givers, our ancestors added color to life's painting and outlasted discrimination and other social tainting. We were stolen in the night to cross violent, deadly seas, later hung like strange fruit from oak and maple trees, fleeing by moonlight to cities names unknown,
exposed to values and customs so unlike our own. Identities others determined, our pride was grossly undermined. Our families were separated and were pitted against our own kind. So quit opposing affirmative action as an unfair, illegal turn.
Every milestone my people have reached, we have surely earned. The inevitable evolution and ascension of my people proves perseverance and strength of character can overcome evil, and you are all my people.
Wow, that was real nice. Very, very nice. Susan, since you're on the same screen, would you share with us, please?
I'm going to read a poem that I wrote in I think it was 2017. It's called In Pilgrim Drag. In Pilgrim Drag. Ribbons in rainbow colors strung between trees. Handwritten messages for those who died of AIDS. Now raised above the stage, a shimmery festoon for a tall drag queen in towering silver crown and gloves who gestures a sign of peace. As a town crier in pilgrim drag belts out, I know a land where dreams are born. In counterpoint to her, someday I'll wish upon a star. Heroes of the culture war wear drag to victory, though transgender soldiers are prohibited from service. We stand together, disenfranchised, Muslims, children of the undocumented, those whose taxes rise as their health care diminishes, Black people disproportionately slain by police, people of color with whom we mark these festivities of grief.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you so much. Again, if we have anyone else that want to read, and we do, we have Alexa. So Alexa, can you please unmute? And Melissa, anyone else on the screen? Okay, and Maria also, and John also. Okay, so we're going to go with Alexa. Alexa, are you online?
Please say that again.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Melissa. Thanks, Melissa Longo.
Thank you, Chip. So this is a new one that I wrote recently. I can't help but feel the pressure in the knowing, in the omniscient. A depression seeps from within. Am I deprived? I can't tell myself why. Is it from too much scrolling, following the motions of hitting likes on a post? No human interaction necessary. I can't help myself sometimes. I question if this is how we must live and communicate. Isn't this the world now? Feeling the pressure of intergenerational traumas, deprived of a manual on how to live, but we use the love from within, weakening the depression that we thought would defeat us in the beginning. We'll zoom into the good, the wonder, invest in the bloom of cheerfulness, my friends. The universe seeks the gifts within us. Number 1, we must not ignore the signs. Number 2, we must follow through. Thank you for another way for me to share my poetry with you.
I'm trying to send a message to Greg. Greg, are you going to read for us today?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, this is one that really is about this fight that has to continue beyond this reading. And it goes way back 50 years, more than 50 years. It's called, by the way, this poem was published maybe 30 years ago. I revised it because of modern times. Black at my door. 1967, he taught in the next room. General science, same as me. Bill, Air Force vet, flew the fighter jets. Great teacher, nicer guy you couldn't meet. I invited him to my home for a science department party. At first, he held back, but I insisted. He came but late. He came to the front door of this married man's first apartment, my first ever black guest. So when I looked through the eye hole, what did I see? Black at my door. This daily news headline with a picture of a captured killer. Years later, I'm teaching a class of minority students critical thinking. On this day, my African-American student says, turns to this tweed sport coat prop and asks, "You prejudiced?" "Yes," I say, "but each day I try to push it back, reduce it some." Impressed, my student says, "Good answer, but put him at the door on the night of the party, all those years ago. I bet he would have seen that little jump, that little start I gave when I saw black at the door, that little switch that I tried so hard to hide. Oh, Bill, great to see you. Glad you could make it. Come on in, come on in."
Nice. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go back to Lois Moses.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to do this piece called "And Who Are We Not to Remember?" And for all the young warriors out there resisting and rebelling. Africa, river sounding, slavery, talking drums, Jim Crow, 40 acres no more, forget the mule, nothing to pass down, the cold hand numbing, But that's a class issue, huh? Going from owned to hired, still working slave wages, still steal away. Don't nobody forget. No one wants to remember. And who are we not to remember? The elite going to sleep? Well, there is still work to be done, while chokeholds of memories dangle discarded dreams on top of promises, still promised, still broken. The promised land, steal away. And who are we not to remember in the face of those who ran before us, running back, drowning in the same stream? Still remembering, who are we not to? Stolen legacies. And who are we not to remember now in the era of our discontent? Guarded legalese amended this time, harboring slaveholdership after the men had gone, holding the Confederate flag strewn together. Sing Dixie for me if you can remember. While waves, they cover a sea of dry bones, a Poseidon adventure. In the classroom, sprouting dry-eyed fugitives, roaming the halls of justice, strange fruits, pallbearers of the learning tree. And who are we not to remember? To sleep with anger after the eyes was on the prize, awakenings after all dreams were deferred, and we still love ourselves in the laughter, because we can't remember. Jurisprudence, shuffle along until we tap the power within, sojourners of truth, remembering ourselves whole, free of patterns, lifeline, lap time at the knees of older folks, carving out patch quilt artwork of our voices, because it's going to take a healthy village to raise healthy children. Conscious decisions. And who are we not to remember?
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to ask Pramila for another poem, please.
Yeah, I'd like to share this poem. It exposes the hypocrisy of this whole idea about terrorism. And the epigraph is from Alok Chakravarti, the assistant attorney, U.S. attorney. The title of the poem is Two Voices. And the epigraph goes, these are deliberate choices. These were political choices. Alok Chakravarti. So there are two voices in this poem. One voice is the conservative voice, and the other voice is like, huh? That kind of voice. We don't allow terrorists to get away. The world sees how justice works here. Innocent until proven guilty. This bombing was intentional. A plan, raw in a suburb, burst its fiery metal, spilling our innards. It was ripe for the plucking cold, bloodthirsty, eye for an eye. Are you talking about us in Iraq and Afghanistan? America will not be terrorized by you. And this kid monster does all this with his baby face, leaving a mark on you and me. How can we forget? How can the city forget? Are you talking of My Lai or Guatemala? Putting a terrorist away brings closure for us impacted by violence and tragedy. Birmingham, oh Birmingham. If this murderer gets the death penalty, it'll be good for the grieving families. So I'm glad we have a jury that believes in capital punishment. Let the world know how democracy works. Stop screaming in my ear. I don't want to hear Guantanamo, Hiroshima, Birmingham. Now we can walk our streets in peace. Ferguson, South Carolina, shoot to kill black men like rabid dogs powerful? For after all, we are ashes, ashes, we all fall down. A free society. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Nina Yavell to please read another poem.
Yes. I found this poem that I had written quite a while ago, which I think really applies today, called The Promised Land.
Mm-hmm.
This space at the border of you and me, the perilous rim once guarded by reason and constraint, has been punctured by instinct. Elusive as light, frail as bone, bound by transgressions real and imaginary, it holds the dust of our isolation. This sacred ground, an opening where a loving God fed us and freed us to evolve. This space at the border of you and I was once, will be again, the promised land.
Nice. America. You know, there's still time to start the healing process from the scars of history. But by first telling the truth, yes, the truth, the reality. This nation was formed, founded, and is still being governed with ideology embedded in racism, sexism, and other horrendous and inhumane atrocities. Native American genocide and slavery are just two of the deep scars in America's history. America, will you please learn from these mistakes and not lose sight? Before it's too late, understand any action fueled with hate, white supremacy ideology, fear, homophobia, sexism, or racism just isn't right. Please learn and not lose sight. Separating young children from their parents and family members at the borders, treating people's precious lives, hopes and dreams of a better life inhumanely, just isn't right. Killing our black men, women, and children like their lives don't matter. Making policies, laws, and degrading systems designed to put and keep black people and people of color down in poverty, depressed, and in prison just isn't right. If only this America being truly, if only this idea of America being truly the land of the free, then justice, liberty, and equality must be inclusive, including people who look like you and me. Wow! I cannot believe that we have 40 people in our room, and that's just awesome. We have Elaine Carlos on the line, and I am trying to find her. Where did she go? Oh man, Elaine, are you still there? Oh shucks. Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on for now. Hopefully we can get Elaine back on the line. Maybe Suzanne could give her a text or something. Okay, in the meantime, is there anyone else that would like to read? Just raise your hand. Keep your hand raised. Oh, wow. Are you serious? We come to the... Oh, we have Elaine now. Yay! Elaine Carlos.
Hi, Jeff. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I just want to thank you so much for this very powerful forum. And I wanted to just read this statement. 846, same old shit. I can't breathe on my neck with your knee. 846, the same old shit. I can't breathe on my neck with your knee. 846, this is the same old shit. We can't breathe on our neck with your knees. I am George Floyd's mother, Eric Gardner, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Delon Castro, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, Justin Howell, Jamoy Floyd, Renisha McBride, and thousands more. We can't breathe. America, you need to take your knee off our necks. Black people, we need to leave Babylon. Thank you, Chip.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. That was so awesome. Okay, did I miss anyone? Would anyone like to read or say anything? Please raise your hand at this time. We have Susan Dingles that's going to read. Yay, yay, yay! Okay, Susan, I need you to unmute. There you go.
I'm so happy to have this opportunity to read something else. At the end of, it seems like the end of our reading, I'm just responding to the first words that we heard from a Native American speaker. And this is a poem. This is also from my book, In Pilgrim Drag. This is a psalm with no apology, and it's for the congregation of the Shinnecock Presbyterian Church, October 21, 2018. This morning, the big field is vacant. Sets of metal bleachers face each other, uninhabited. 2 empty cars on the far side. A sign that says, "Slow down." It is October, the slow time between seasons, when reverence is all I bring for the elders who meet on Wednesday at 6 p.m., for the driver of the vehicle who tails an unfamiliar car on this road toward the burial ground. I do not know who the ancestors were who trod this field, the generations who worship here between seasons after the powwow. This morning, I speak from the pulpit to Native people who have invited me, beloved community, who pray for children, suffer from substance abuse, violence, and trauma. Outsiders who were here first, that we may witness and find refuge in this broken land, where grandmothers in the back pews still offer stubborn prayers. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. That was great. I think we have Maria Anderson that's going to do another poem for us. And if you're out there, if you just came in and you would like to read, send the host a message with your name and the your location, please, in the chat, which is in the middle down there somewhere. Thanks.
This was one I wrote a couple years ago for a very dear friend and mentor of mine. It's called Bubby. I would never have been here if it wasn't for Bubby. The first time I read for you, I was scared and nervous. I was supposed to go last, but somehow I was standing in front of the mic right after the amazing feature. He made a special request, since he had a previous engagement to attend. I saw him freeze at the door and look me straight in the eyes. Suddenly, I wasn't myself. All of the fear and stress melted away like makeup on a hot summer day. I was no longer shaking or stuttering. I could feel his confidence, his assurance, and maybe his support. He didn't need to say anything. It was the look of utter love. No matter what poem came out of my mouth, he was proud of me. Since that day, every time I read, I could still feel it. Even today, my last day here at Poetry Street, he sits in the back in his blue striped suit, bent over with one elbow resting on his knee, and I can feel all of it, his hope, his love, and support. So thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I just love when mothers read about motherhood. Maria has a whole series of poems, and I love to hear her read them about her son. There's one called The Elephant, and it just makes me cry every time. Shh. Anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys being here, and something that Elaine said, that the same old shit, you know, I feel you. I wrote this poem 20 years ago to a mother and a father, Mr. and Mrs. Diallo. I dare not say I know how you must feel, For us, it's a tragedy, but for you, the tragedy is just too real. I'm so sorry. I'm not equipped to comfort your sorrow of knowing that your son Amadou will not be here tomorrow. Today, we all cry out for justice for a crime that was fueled with unjustified malice. Will it ever end, or must we all die before God pays attention to our desperate cry? We as a people have been oppressed for far too long and treated like dirt by people who think our color is wrong. The judiciary system has gone completely insane, which only makes me realize that although some things have changed, there are still just too many things that have remained the same. And again, today, we as a people are the ones in immeasurable pain. Sure, I can always hope for a better future, as no one knows what tomorrow will hold. But I won't fool myself into thinking that after generations of hatred, that they'll break their racist mold. But for how long? How long will we have to live and fight those who think they're better than us simply because their skin is white? I really hate the thought of being shot down because of the color of my skin, but I will always remember. No, actually, I am reminded every time I walk out the door that's the cruel and hard reality all black men and women are in. Now, as long as the unjust, unfit leaders in the highest office remain, we will all be limited as to what we can gain. So yes, 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 we will continue to walk, march, protest, and shout to let the whole world know that it's justice and equality we're about. No, we won't all die in the fight, but we will all suffer. Some of us may lose a friend, a mother, a sister, a brother, daughter, and some a father. You lost a son, innocent of any crime, and his killers were set free. And I really fear, if justice is not sought out now, then tomorrow, it could be me. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the first ever Poetry Street Zoom reading. Thank you so much. Is there anyone that would like to say anything? If not, then we're going to say goodbye.
Bye, Chip.
Bye. Thank you guys.
You did an awesome job.
Thank you. Keep going. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. This is William Paris. I'm not a poet, but I love poetry, and I was so excited and for Chip when I got the invitation. So I was watching my watch and making sure that I could make it here. You guys are absolutely awesome. I have a talk show, and I'm going to talk to Chip. I would love to get some of you guys to really, help push this agenda. There's so much messages. There's so much messaging in your content, and it's so powerful. People need to hear this. So great job to everyone. And once again, Chip, thank you so much for inviting me. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you to you all.
Thank you so much, William, for that. I'm going to ask my cousin, Yvette Clayton, if she would please say something.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to this. I have really enjoyed myself. I'm not a poet, but thank you so much. It was so inspiring. There's a lot going on in the world right now. We have a lot of work to do. With you guys all getting together and, just speaking your heart, speaking your truth, I am hopeful. I am hopeful. So we just have to keep hope alive. I know we've heard that before, but you guys have been so inspiring. It was so great to be here today. Love you, cousin.
Love you back. Love you back. And thank you so much.
This was nice, Chip. We've been doing a lot of different things because we've been stuck in the house. We've done salsa. You got to do all types of things for date, date night. Well, now we've had a poetry date. So this is very nice.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Chip, for hosting this. This has been amazing, and everyone else involved. I'm a musician, so it's kind of said that instrumental musicians are not so good with the words, but you guys are amazing, and I appreciate, that you've shared this, and I feel like even with so many people, we're in such a small room. I'm looking at you from a 13-inch screen, and I think it would be wonderful if you could just share your words with the world and continue to spread your views and your input, because I think they have a great impact and influence on everything that's going on, past, present, and future. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you so much. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry, but we do have to go. But before I go, I just want to once again thank you all for participating on our first ever Zoom call. Please check out our website, and on that website has all of our YouTube links for Poetry Street on the Road. There are 9 episodes, and Nina, Gladys, Melissa, Susan, Bubby, and myself are on those episodes. There are 9 episodes, Poetry Street on the Road, and also there is Poetry Street on the Road. The film is a collection of my favorites of all the 18 poets. So please check us out. And once again, thank you so much. Please stay safe, and I love you. And please spread joy and get out there. Make sure you register and you vote these Republicans out. Vote in the local election as well as the presidential election, please. All right? It's on. We are not going back. And that's a fact. Thank you all, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Well done.
Thanks
Well
for
done,
inviting me,
everyone.
Susan. Thank you.
Everyone.